There's thousands, hundreds of thousands of deportees all along the border from Tijuana all the way to Laredo, Texas, that live in the States for so many, many, many years. And now we are back here in our country, a country that we hardly know.
You don't know. I didn't know nothing about that being deported. I didn't know until I turned 18. Until they told me, well, you don't have papers. I'm like, well, what do you mean? I've been here my whole life. And then they explain to you, well, no, you're not. You got to go back to where you're from. I'm like, well, I thought I was from here. It's kind of hard when life hits you like that. And then you have your boys. I came down here, and my first boy was going to be born, so I had to go back. I had to go back, and then, I got in trouble for that. I got re-entry. They charged me with re-entry, what I did 3 years at federal prison for just going back, just for wanting to go back and be with your family.
I got there when I was like 19 years old, and I worked the best. I think I gave the States the best of my life. I went across the Rio Grande at the Laredo border. I had to run and hide, and I remember we were in a pickup truck. In the back of a pickup truck, there was about 20 of us, one on top of each other.
Most of us were kids when we actually were taken to the States. I personally was 7 years old. Um, we went to school, we learned English, some of us went to college. A lot of our family members became business owners, so I look back at my family and how I personally think that basically we're our first generation. We actually got there and we struggled to be part of a country that really we didn't know anything about. But I personally felt I wasn't an American. I wasn't a citizen for one thing. I never wanted to apply to be a citizen in the United States.
But like I said, I was a good member of society. I wasn't a killer. I wasn't a rapist. I wasn't breaking into houses, working, putting my kids to school, helping out the community, and doing my best. And all of a sudden, I get deported. And like I said, I do have a social security number. I do, because I was legal. And sometimes, and somewhere down the line, I lost my permanent residency. But I always thought that I could get it back. And I talked to so many lawyers. But I just couldn't, because somehow a DUI that they made a felony without me knowing, that's what got me deported. But that didn't happen not until 14, 15 years later.
My whole issue was I wanted some Nike Cortez because everybody was in that, you know what I mean? So I ended up background. I ended up selling, marijuana, you know what I mean? So anyways, I ended up getting caught. So I got arrested like around 3 in the afternoon, right when the bell rang.
My story might be a little bit different. I ran away from some of the issues in the state of Nevada to separate myself from the things that I was that was causing me harm, I guess I should say. So, but after I got here to Mexico, something changed. Something started changing in my heart and my feelings. And
Was at the immigration detention center, like I say, for 5.5 months. They took me to court like every other month to Phoenix, handcuffed, and in the bus, handcuffed from the ankles, and then on my waist I had I mean, it is like if I was a big killer or something, and like I said, I never did anything. I had a DUI, but the way I was treated, and that is a trip that it takes you from Florence to Phoenix. It takes an hour and a half, and then you get in there before you get into the courtroom. They put you into this cold cell, with another two inmates, and until you can be sitting there all day waiting for your immigration hearing, waiting to see the judge, you know. And once you see the judge, then you have to wait for the other guys, to make the trip back to Florence. But in the meantime, you're in there in that cold room, freezing to death. And then after, they finally call you out, and then they handcuff you again in the ankles, in the waist. And I mean, and those handcuffs, they are very, very tight, you know. And like I said, it's not fun. It's not fun being in there, especially when you know that you're gonna live your whole life, your whole life back there. What it really gets me is because I got deported when Obama was in power, and I love Obama. I love the way he talks. I love his speeches. Every chance I get, I still want to watch him talking, to listen to him. And he was the guy that went hunting for me, the guy that I trusted, the guy that I loved, the guy that I thought he was a good president.
I actually wrote to the judge asking that I wanted to be deported. I remember when immigration came in and asked me if I was a citizen, and first time in my life, in all my life, you know, I was honest and said I wasn't an American citizen, that I wanted to go back to Mexico.
So I got deported by Reynosa. We had the cops come and pick us up and tell us, you know what, get on the bus, go where you guys gotta go. It was 5 o'clock in the afternoon. The streets were closed. Every store was closed. All you hear was ta 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 ta. You hear nothing but AKs. Even the cops were like ducking down. So you're like, whoa, what's going on? You know what I mean? And they take you to the bus station and say, your best option is to leave right now. You had people come up to you and be like, hey, can I have I'm kind of thirsty or whatever. I told him, let's go eat. And he's like, you know what, your best offer is just to get a cell phone right now, contact your family, just leave. He's like, don't stay here in a hotel, don't do nothing, don't talk to nobody. Like me, he even told me, he's like, you talk to me like that, don't give information to me, because we're holding a lot of people hostage. This is, he even told me this is part of my job, to find people who are here, because we know you guys are coming to be deported. There's people who have money. The next day, we ended up leaving. It was about 3 in the morning when they stopped the bus. They got us all off. There was some people with, one guy was with the 9mm. There was another guy with the 45. They just told me, where you come from, and I showed my paperwork. I was coming out of the feds. I was in sweats, tank top, and I showed them the paper that I just came from the feds. I got deported. And they were like, all right. You got money on you? And I was like, yeah. I was like, and I told him, I was like, I had $100 in my shoe. The funny part was, and I always remember this, I can tell you about the story. I had brand new Nikes. But another guy was like, you know what, for being honest, he only took 500 pesos from me, which was like $30. He took 500 pesos from me. And he's like, I'm gonna leave you with the rest so you can eat.
about Honduras, Peru, and other countries too. I know.
The harm that you cause when you split up those families, you know, when you break families apart. Just put yourself in my position. Put yourself in my position, President Obama. See, if they take you away from your two girls and your wife and send you to some other place where you are not able to see them and see what it feels like. I'm not saying that I wish that you should go through that, but I think you should give it a try.
Yeah, I got two boys. Two boys? Yeah, yeah. Got Matthias Jacob, and Octavius. And they're 12 and 11. Yeah, they're in the state of Washington. They're with their mom. So, that's difficult. I mean, with this technology, it's not the same to interact with somebody, just because of FaceTime and all that, but it's not the same to be around them all the time, you know. And it's kind of hard to be a dad all the way from over there, all the way from here to over there. It's kind of hard.
I think the hardest part is that letting go of that family that you left behind. You know what I'm saying? Once you let go of that, and you kind of move on, personally, myself, I needed to do that first. Except that, what happened, it was, well, not meant to happen, but it was for a reason that it happened. And once I said I was okay with that, yeah, I'm going to leave my family behind, made a decision. I mean, it's a lot of money to get your ID, but that's probably one of the first things that a lot of people struggle with. They can't send you money from the States without an ID. You can't receive money, so you're down on your chips.
And I've been here 4 years already, and I'm still trying to adapt to it. I mean, it's new to me. Every day, it's a whole different culture because you're used to being in the States, and then you come here, and your background, your background is a little bit different than everybody else's. So they tend to, just like the English. We talk English, so so they kind of like look down on that. They're like, "You're in Mexico now, talk Spanish," but our whole background is English. For us, the jobs here are pretty good though, because for other people, they get paid like 1,000 pesos, which is not even like, it's like what, $80 a week, whatever. Depends what job you have. When people come from the States, it's cheaper for them, but for people that we live here, it's more expensive. And to just get by day is kind of difficult. And that's why a lot of people down here drink, and right here you see nothing but people with drugs, smoking. You find needles everywhere on the ground. So it's kind of difficult. It's very hard to live a life normal, what we call normal. Because it's very hard.
But I guess now I make it a joke. I guess I say, well, maybe the Lord sent me to the States first to learn English and then brought me back to Mexico to serve you guys whenever you come down and visit, you know. But that's I don't know. It is kind of odd, how things work out.